Welcome back. This is guest edit number 2. Today we have an image from Alex Abercrombie from Newport Beach, California. She sent this image to me a couple of weeks ago. She had 2 areas that she was working through and she needed to look at some new ideas. One of them was cleaning up the background. There was a lot of discoloration in the gray background that she wanted to get rid of. And there was a negative squinch that we needed to lift the lower eyelids up. That's the image we're going to look at today. And let's get started. Okay, so here we are in Capture 1. And I think the exposure is pretty much bang on. Let's just do a quick levels check and just adjust the white point a little bit. But that's a minor change. So well done to Alex for nailing the exposure. You can see the challenge, though. We have a little bit of discoloration on this side of the background. I understand there was a window here that, although it was shaded or blocked, there was still a little bit of leakage of light onto the background. So we want to fix that, and we want to fix this negative squinch that we got going on. We're going to leave all the other changes. Like, I know there's some hairs that could come out, and maybe some of these veins in the eyes could be reduced to something, but we're just going to talk about the background and the negative squinch on this episode. And let's pop this over to Affinity. Okay, so here we are in Affinity, and let's start with getting this light on camera left out of the picture here. So let me take a in-paint brush, relatively hard, and let's get all of this stuff out of here. So that didn't do too bad. Let's do a couple of fixes up here. And there we go. We're going to leave this in paint till the end. There's a lot of things going on here in terms of the color and the different shades. It'll be easier to infill this side once all the extra tones are gone. So the trick to this fix is the mask. And let's start building that now. So I'm just using the selection tool, and I'm going to go in and I've got the snap to edges on, and I'm just going to make sure it snaps to the right edge. All right, now with the hair, this is where the challenge is. We want to go wide, so wider than the hair is. And let's see if that picks it up. And then, of course, get all the things in the middle. Oh, hang on, bigger brush. There we go. There. So we've got the selection snap edges along the shirt, the shoulders, and then we went wide on the hair. And now let's rely on the refine brush to make the right choices. So we've got all sorts of background peeking through the hair here and here. Let's select those using the refine brush. And it should do a pretty good job. There you go. Let's go along the top of the hair here. There you go. And then it's down this side. This is going to be some challenge because there's not a lot of difference between the hair and the background. So let's see how it does the first pass. Not bad. We're going to need to give Affinity a little bit more help here. So I'm going to select the background and just tell it that this color here is background. And this too. And then make it a bit smaller and say that is 2. There you go. But I don't want that shirt to be caught, so I'm going to go foreground and let it know that this shirt here is the foreground. There you go. Now let's just make sure none of the hair is caught. And if it is, we're just going to tell Affinity that that is part of the foreground and not to mask that. There you go. This is a bit tedious. We're going to lose some detail in there. I can see that. But I think we're going to recover enough to make it look good. There you go. There, I think that should do. All right, let's output to a mask and apply. And let's take that mask off for now. Okay, so Alex wants this on a gray background, which makes this edit a lot easier because we can get rid of that color difference here by just desaturating. There is no color difference if there is no color. While we're here, let's take the background just a bit dark as well. There you go. And then we have this mask, so let's duplicate that mask. Turn the mask on. Clip it to the HSL layer, and then invert that mask so I just catch the background. And there we go. So we went from there to there, and I don't mind that at all. So we've still got all the detail. You can see the hair, and you can see the hair coming through here. So that, the mask did pretty well. We might have to go in later and edit out some of those brighter bits. Yeah, so that's how we handle the color difference, is we just take the color out. I might just take this even a little bit darker. Not too much. There you go. So the next task is we've got this side is a little bit brighter in the background than this one on this side. So let's make this side of the image slightly darker. So how I like to do that is I'll use a fill layer. It will default to white and give me a gradient tool. And I'm going to start the gradient about the middle and bring it out to here. Because on this side of the image I'm quite happy with it. And I might just start the gradient a bit sooner. There we go. Change it to luminosity, blend mode. And then I'll take my mask, I'll copy my mask. Clip it to that fill layer, and then invert the mask. And I now have a gradient in the background that goes from white to black, starting at the center. And I just need to now change the opacity and let some of the original background through. And this now is just a judge by eye when the two sides look to be close enough. I might take this down just a little bit more. And that should be good. Okay, so let's get this negative squinch situation figured out. So I'm going to start with stamping up my backgrounds, get a new background, merge visible. And then let's call that new background. And then I can disable those. And I'm going to duplicate that. And let's start with the camera left eye first. Camera left eye. Now with that layer selected, let's hit the liquify tool. Get in good and close. We're going to freeze the upper part of the eye so we don't move that. And with a relatively fine brush, I've got a couple of reference points I need to be aware of. I've got this upper eye hinge I don't want to move, and I've got these eyelashes I don't want to move. So I'm going to freeze those, going through roughly the middle of the eye, and grab all the upper eyelashes. And then what I usually do is go a bit wider, and I freeze more. A little bit of the hair in that shadow there, so I don't mess with that. Okay, that should do. And then we're going to use the move tool, and we're going to bring that lower eyelid up and relatively big. And I want to go from about there to about there. So that's a good distance. I'm just going to grab that eyelid, and then I'm going to move it to where I want it to go. And that should be good. And then apply. And I need to do a little bit of fixes here. But you can see we've moved the lower eyelid from there to there. Thing is, we've mucked up the eye a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a hole in that layer we just made. So we're going to put a mask on it. And with that mask selected, painting 100% flow, 100% opacity in black, we're going to cut a hole in this layer and let the eye from the lower layer come through. And a relatively soft brush. And if we go too far, just switch the color to white of the brush, and we went too far again. And let's get it to where you want it to go. And that looks good. So we went from there to there. Now we've got a little bit of fixes we can do. But if you didn't know that was not there, then that's pretty good. Okay, so let's do the camera right eye now. So I'm going to, on my new background, I'm going to duplicate that. And I am going to call this camera right eye. And I'm going to move it on top of your other camera left eye. Now, that's going to take away the effect that we just generated. So when we mask this new camera right eye layer, we're going to have to cut 2 holes in it. One for this eye and then one for the change we're about to make. So with the camera right eye layer selected, we're going to hit liquefy. Let's use that freeze tool again. And we've got some other hair going through here, which I said we're going to ignore. So we're going to just ignore that again. And we'll have to fix that in our retouch activity. So I'm going to grab this eyelash here and the top of this eye hinge. And we're good. And then go wide. And maybe catch a bit more. There you go. And then the move tool. And then go reasonably big. And I want to go from there to about there. So that's a good change. Yeah, so let's take the eyelid and then we just move it. That should be good. Let's move it just a little bit more. There we go. And let's apply. And now we're going to create a mask. With that mask selected, painting in black. We're going to cut a hole and let that lower eye from the lower layer show through. There we go. We're going to have to do a little bit of fixing here. But you won't even notice that. Okay, and then we've got to also, of course, cut a big hole in this side here to let that eye through from the fix we just did. And those two together now are the negative squinch fix. There we go. We've got a little bit of fixing to do here. So what we'll do now is we'll stamp out this layer. Merge visible. And now we can get rid of all of these. Call this new background. And let's just fix that. So we're going to use the stamp tool. There you go. That's fixed. And on this side, we might do the same thing. So just fix that discoloration. Oh, that didn't work too well. Fix it from there. And if you don't work the first time, let's use a heel brush. That might work better. Yeah, that's working better. Okay, so that's how we do that. Now let's spend some time fixing this this part over here. So I'm going to use the in-paint brush, and this should go relatively quickly. There we go. We've got a little bit of artifacting that we can touch up. So there's some here. And I think there's a little bit down here. I'm not worried about this light showing in the frame. We're going to crop that out anyways. And there's a little bit over here. So I can use the heel brush and just smooth that out a little bit. There you go. That looks good. So let's save this. Save. And then let's export it back to Capture One. Export. I'm going to overwrite the file that we had before, that we generated the PSD file to bring it in. We're going to overwrite that. And let's switch to Capture One. Okay, so here we are. That was the image we sent to Affinity, and this is the image we got back. So from there to there. We fixed the background. It's all now a consistent gray. There's a little bit more luminosity here, so we could go back and forth and fix it. But overall, I like the impact. And we fixed the negative squinch. So at that point, all we need to do then is just clone the variant and put a crop on this. Let's go 4x5. And yeah, about there. And there's the image. Okay, so let's output them, and I'll post this in the crew. Thanks for watching. Hope you found this useful, and have a great day. Cheers.